I feel like every good Christian man should be very easily identifiable by the way he carries himself, his characteristics, and just how he engages with everything in his world in general. If you've ever thought about this, then you've realized this is not the case. But I'm going to share with you why I think it should be. And if you disagree with my opinion, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. First, there's this question of what is a Christian? A true Christian is someone who believes in Jesus' divinity and one who follows him. It's the second part that causes a little bit of confusion. Now, if we claim to follow someone who is the ultimate example of love and obedience, shouldn't that be obvious? I know nobody's perfect, and that accounts for some of the variation in our lives, but it's the striving that I'm curious about. Are we striving to be like him? The New Testament lays out pretty well Jesus' characteristics. We can see how he lived his life. And when I think about some of his characteristics, I think about modesty. You know, I don't imagine he did things to try to attract a lot of attention to himself, which goes along with pride and vanity. So it makes me think about these days, a lot of guys who, you know, maybe they drive around in a really fancy car that they can't afford, or a big jacked up truck, you know, trying to attract attention. They maybe went out and got a lot of tattoos, visible tattoos, and, you know, they're muscular, so they put on a tank top to kind of show off a little bit. And I think, oh, so just putting a cross around your neck, does that make you Christian? I don't know. Does that just make me judgmental because I notice that stuff and I'm bringing it to light? Maybe so. But again, I'm thinking about, how did Jesus conduct himself? How did he carry himself? And are we following his example? What about keeping the Sabbath day holy? That's one of the big 10, guys. I know that looks differently to most people, but I think there's some things that you can rule out as unholy. Routinely going to sporting events. I just don't think Jesus would be in a stadium on a Sunday hooting and hollering and screaming about something that didn't really have any consequence. He dealt with things that were more important than that. Maybe we should too. How about church attendance? Seems pretty basic that Christians should make sacrifices to go to church on Sundays, right? That we should prioritize that day and not make it like every other day of the week where we do all the normal things that we like to do. It seems like even if our team is playing or our kids are playing sports, that we prioritize going to church. Now, don't get me wrong, I know nobody's perfect, we all make mistakes, but it's about that idea of striving to be like Jesus. It just seems too easy to me to think that we can say, oh, I believe in Jesus and so I'm saved. Okay, well, his grace is sufficient for all, but what type of life are you living? Are you a good representation of him? Are you helping others to find him and to believe in him? If not, then we got to take a look at ourselves. How about some of the other big things we should expect from a good Christian man? A good Christian man should take care of his health. They should exemplify discipline in what they put into their bodies. They should exercise. They should make that sacrifice to take good care of themselves. Otherwise, they're not fully being there for their families. It's hard to imagine Jesus regularly overeating to the point where his physical mobility is limited and he can't be there for the people that he needs to be there for. Some of the other ones, drinking alcohol. Now, please don't use the lame argument that Jesus drank wine, okay? You know that's a weak argument. He did not drink it for the purpose of altering his state of mind, okay? So I just don't see how that is consistent with being a good Christian, drinking alcohol. I just don't see it. And video games, obsession with sports, again, I'm not trying to judge people. I'm just saying I do not imagine that if Jesus were alive on this earth today, that he would engage in those things. He seems above those kinds of petty pastimes, waste of times, really, is what they are. He would be using his time for more important things, for helping people, helping his family, better himself. So I know this might sound a little harsh, but again, this is just how I see it. I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to come off like I'm perfect, but I am striving to become perfect. Why would we not strive for that? Why would we do anything else other than trying to be like Jesus if we proclaim to be his followers. So those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Please leave a comment, and thanks for watching.